Is this our intro?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. This is nice.
It just sets the mood, doesn't it?
It really does. It makes me feel super important. Like we're in an elevator about to talk about something.
Is that where all your important conversations happen?
All of them are in an elevator.
And we're rolling? It's all recording? All right.
All right. Sweet.
Yeah, well, we can get into it. So we're going to talk about the things that caught our eye this week. It's going to be just one topic from each of us. Josh, you're going to kick it off. What caught your eye this week?
Yeah, I mean, in the news, we're all fans of ChatGPT, right? Our whole team is obsessed with it. I use it more than Google these days, and I think you do too. And the event that happened with Sam Altman, like that was a pretty cool event. I mean, there's a 4-minute segment that I watched that was like building your own GPT, and I was so excited to see that because how often have I been talking to you about this, about, oh my gosh, it'd be great if we had this particular AI thing for our business. It's a learning inventory and all this. And finally they released something that I had been wanting for a really long time. So a long time meaning AI, well, how long has it been around? Like 6 months or something. And I'm like, really long time. That's how long. But I've talked about it, but you've actually used it.
I have, yes. They made the announcement on Monday that you can make your own custom GPTs. And then on Tuesday, I was making them. I think they tried to make it available on Monday, but they had too much demand and it was causing issues. So not everyone could get in. At least I couldn't get in. Maybe I'm not cool enough to get in on the first day. But yeah.
It's not included in the premium that you already pay for?
No, so it's the same plan that everyone can get access to. So the $20 a month subscription,
Okay.
you get access to it. So it's not a special tiered.
Did they roll it out for everyone, or is it just for
It
like
should be everyone.
everyone? Okay. I just
Yeah.
haven't done it yet. Okay. So
Yeah.
what's your experience been?
It's good. Well, by the way, it's not in the, like, you don't go to chat.openai.com to get it. It's in the, if you go to openai.com, then after logging in, it splits you and you either go to ChatGPT or you go over to the API section.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Yeah. And so, and I can show you what that looks like.
Yeah, let's see it. I want to see it.
Yeah.
It looks like you can, what I saw by the video, you can like customize it for you, right? So you can like save it just almost as a personal not offline, but like your own GPT. But then there's like a marketplace. It looks like you can kind of, there it is.
Yeah. So this is the experience. If you log in to openai.com, then it splits you either go to ChatGPT. That's the experience that 95% of people are having with OpenAI right now, or you go over to the API section. And I'm going to have to blur out some of this stuff in post, but this is where you get to documentation, AI examples, all that stuff. But the playground is where you get to go have some fun. You get to make your own assistants here.
Oh, that's it.
Assistants it's really as simple as click create, name it, give it your custom prompt, choose your model. And then this is some of the more advanced functionality here where you kind of train it on what you want to do as your own assistant. So
where Sam Altman, this is a different interface than
yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know how to get access to what he had because he was showing a conversational way to build it. I haven't found that yet. It might be available, might not be. But yeah, backing this up a little bit, I'm going to take this off the screen for a moment. Backing up a little bit, right now what's available is you can play around with making your own custom GPT, make your own custom assistant.
Yeah.
But later this month, it will be in the marketplace. So you can't publish anything right now.
Got it. Can you share it with like a limited amount of people, like right now?
You can create an enterprise account. So then like you and I could be in the same company and then you and I could have access to it.
We could share it. Okay.
Yeah.
But it's just not kind of the marketplace quite yet.
Yeah.
You and I were talking about how cool it would be to have this as like a complement to like a book or like a talking series, because you could just almost have a personal coach assistant as you're like reading the book or curriculum. Like we have the market validation funnel. I've been thinking a lot about like how sweet it would be to be like, how many times I've answered the question of like, what the heck is it? What do I go next? You could put it into just a conversational AI, which would be awesome for people to use.
For sure. That's what I'm curious about. Like in some ways, this will be an alternative way for people to learn and consume content that maybe people who just don't enjoy reading books but want to extract the information out of the book. And it's like choose your own adventure books. I feel like that. Like you can just sign up for we have the master class, our own methodology. Like someone could sign up and say, I don't want to watch all the videos, I don't want to read all the materials, let me just ask questions that are relevant to me and then progressively disclose it to them. So I think it's interesting.
I feel like that's the way I would want it. You know, we created this masterclass and it's like 6 hours of content as a first version, you know, like just to get it in the market. And I don't know anyone that would want to sit down for 6 hours. So it's, you know, this seems like a far better, sounds like you would upload, you know, maybe we can talk through this. You would take the kind of what I was saying in terms of word. Can you upload video and stuff and it would extract all the words? Or I know you can upload files and you can kind of train it. Is that just text right now? That's like, hey, extract the text out of a video and then upload it?
So using this interface right here, it seems like all you can do is upload files, there is a restriction on the type of files that you can upload. Like I couldn't even, I forget which type I couldn't upload a CSV, for example.
Interesting.
So I had to convert it to a plain text file and then it could interpret it. It can interpret structured data, but certain file extensions were allowed, but you can't just give it video. So what I did for mine, because I took 3 videos that I made in a master class and then I I took the transcripts and then
uploaded those
that in here, and that worked well. So it's fine. But I think there's an API to build assistants, which I think is going to have more functionality. So I'm going to go over to documentation.
Do you know if is this this is still online, right? Like when you're uploading and training it, there's a lot of concern from enterprise on like your data. This is still kind of going up to Chat GPT's cloud. It's not like offline or anything, right?
Yeah. So that concern's still there. It's awesome. And with anything in the cloud, there's also the risk of outages and all that versus being on edge or in your own infrastructure. So we experienced some of that this week because our colleague Thad was building some things with OpenAI, and then there was just an outage, and he's like, well, what do I do now?
Yes.
So can you build highly scalable, redundant production products with OpenAI right now? I wouldn't bet on it.
Yeah. Well, I was also seeing something in the news about, I hadn't dug into it yet, about how in the announcements, it like killed a bunch of startups or something.
Yeah.
What's with that?
Yeah, that's the tech Twitter thing. Everyone's saying like, oh, OpenAI just killed all these startups. But what that's getting at is there were a bunch of single feature startups that were built. Like one is Chat with PDF, I think is what it was called, or at least there's a bunch of apps like this. So they made it so you could upload a PDF and then talk with it like Chat GPT. And that was the layer of innovation these startups were providing. But now OpenAI makes it so that you can just do that functionality right in Chat GPT. So why do I need to go over to this single feature app? I'll just do it here. So there's the conspiracy theorists are saying that OpenAI is just using all this data that these other companies are providing them. Like they can see all the API requests going out, like, oh, Chat with PDF is getting all these types of, or all this volume. Well, let's bake that into our core product. So that's all alleged. I don't know if it's true or not, but that's a concern. You know, and even if they're not using that data, they're still just seeing momentum in social media and elsewhere, and it's going to inform their lineup. So it's like Apple; they don't have to be the first to market with anything. Now OpenAI can kind of sit back, see how the ecosystem is developing, and then
crush. Just
yeah,
bring out their own version of it.
Yeah,
interesting. Yeah, I'm curious where the line is on. It feels like that's what they're saying is the line is moving. You know, where it's like, oh, this was the box of Chat GPT, and now it just keeps moving. And so, if you get too close to that edge, you're a casualty.
Yeah.
If you're a startup.
What do you think about the marketplace when there is the ability? Because people are saying it's going to be like the Apple App Store. Although OpenAI tried to make this claim before when they just added plugins. They're like, now we have our own app store. But the custom GPTs take it a step further. So some people are saying that this is going to be like an app store experience. But how do you feel about that? What do you think life will be like if there are all those apps out there?
I think the hard thing about this is that there, if you look at the App Store as a model, there's this saturation limit that it reached, right? Like there's this now trend of removing apps from your phone. So I think my nervousness is like, this is pretty cool. If you look at this screen, it's like got all these creative writing coach, tech advisor, but like I look at just taking one of those, like creative writing coach. How many creative writing coaches are going to be like posting here? And it's like, what's the differentiator between them? And especially if it's just dialogue, like what's the magic? Like, how are you going to differentiate? It feels like there's going to be just this flood. And so I'd be interested to see how OpenAI is going to handle that of like, how do you not get lost in the sea of AI? Plus, I mean, the barrier to entry to create apps is much higher, I feel like, than creating one of these because it seems pretty easy. So it's like you don't need to be an engineer to create an app. That's a pretty high barrier to entry. This is like even lower, which to me means it's just going to be flooded. So that what do you think? That's like my
Yeah,
thoughts.
that's exactly. I that is the big difference from the App Store. Like you back in the day, now it's changed a little bit, but back in the day, you had to have an Apple computer to build with Xcode and build an Apple app, and you had to know how to write in that language. And there's a huge barrier to entry to put an app out there. And you still had 20 different apps that did the exact same thing. So what's going to happen now when anyone and their brother can just put in 5 lines of information and all they're doing, the distinction between that one from the next is just how the prompt has been
Yeah.
engineered. So I don't know. Seems like there will be plenty of GPTs in the App Store. I guess that's good for consumers for the most part. I didn't look into this too much, but they're also saying that the marketplace is going to be a revenue share. So instead of you charging for your app in the App Store, it's going to be like all these custom GPTs are available in the marketplace, and then revenue that OpenAI makes is going to be kicked back to you. So
Interesting.
I don't know. I didn't look into that too much, but I'm curious about the economics of it all.
Are you? That said, I mean, are can you set a cost for a GPT in this marketplace? Like, yeah, that's going to be really interesting to be able, especially with how flooded it's going to be. It's the law of economics of like, if there's tons of them, like it'll devalue a lot of it. So it'll be really interesting to see how that, I think a lot of the value that as I'm thinking about this, the future feels as though, in the integration space. So if you look at like SaaS, like there's this, it used to be everyone wanted to create a social network, right? It's like, oh, well, we're going to follow Facebook. And at early days, I worked at a recognition company and we rode this trend, right? And we created our own social network. But then the trend now is let's just integrate with software we're already using, like Slack. Let's just integrate there. And so I feel like that is when I feel like that is going to be a huge thing once ChatGPT, like people start integrating between products and using ChatGPT for things. And I know that's already started, but I think the more that becomes mainstream, I feel like that'll be the real innovation that comes.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
They did show some cool demos of different GPTs being chained together and going in and out of the GPT experience. So we'll see. I mean, I don't think they showed the marketplace at all in the live demo. And then here, they just have a paragraph saying the GPT store is rolling out later this month. They are saying that only featuring creations by verified builders. So maybe there will be a barrier to entry here, some kind of standard.
It's going to be like X.com. You have to pay, $5 a month or something.
Could be. I don't know. I think OpenAI is trying to make it clear that the innovation is with OpenAI, their product, not the app itself.
Right.
Right. Whereas at the App Store, it was all about the apps. Like this app,
That's right.
It's so cool, but they're trying to keep the innovation with OpenAI. So we'll see. But anything else that you want to say about custom GPTs before we move on to the next thing?
I guess the only other thing is, what custom GPTs have you created already?
I just basic ones, just one to interact with a masterclass series so that a student could ask questions out of band. Even simple things like, what is the homework for this module, right? Like think about a teacher, a professor, not having to answer that question over and over again. I think there's
big.
value there, and to be able to ask questions in different ways. Like I think that's cool. Um, you know, but will people ever really use it? I don't know, because some of these master classes, the draw is that you get access to the creator. So if you don't really get access to creator, you just get access to this bot. Maybe people won't adopt it. And then the other one I made was a tool to answer questions around fieldwork requirements for a specific certification, a board certified behavior analyst, because the requirements are kind of convoluted and they're tough to understand, and more importantly, people just don't read them read it in their entirety. So you give them a chat GPT experience, they could just ask like, hey, here's my situation. What do the regulations say about it? And they can get answers that way. So
That's interesting.
yeah.
Yeah, I feel like you and I talked about this. I use ChatGPT for just about everything. Like this last weekend, I used it to like wire my house. I think I was telling you about this, about like I fed it, I was wiring electrical panel and then fed it all the different wire connections. And then it's like, you're doing it all wrong. You're going to kill yourself. And so I basically changed all the wiring, but I'm like, now that I'm looking at this, I'm like, man, you could like train this, because Chat GPT, when I was asking it, would say, I don't know the specific regulations in like your area. And you could create like an electrician GPT that has like for Michigan and for other, wherever you're at, locale.
Well,
it's interesting.
Very simply, you could just upload the NEC, National Electrician Code. You could upload that and just say, tell me exactly. Because I go online all the time looking for like, is this up to code? Is it not? What can I do here? And then you go at these forums, they just have people from all different parts of the world responding, and they're like, you can do it. And no one says, you can't do it. You can.
Yes.
Like, what do I? Like,
who do you believe?
Yeah, who do I believe? So I do think that's an interesting. The other thing that I'm really tempted to do, you and I both have way more domain names than we know what to do with. I'm thinking about how you turn each of those like domain names into just just make that a GPT, just as one specific thing. Like
interesting.
I'm also thinking about just these very small problems that people have, but a lot of people have them, and turn that into a GPT type of experience. So like you just said there, like give me electrician GPT. Another one I'm thinking about is when I'm looking at vehicles, I want to know if I can fit a sheet of plywood in it. And I can see people go on all these different forums and they're searching like, can I fit? What do you guys do with plywood? Can you fit a piece of plywood in there? And then people are measuring it. I just want to create a very simple single purpose startup website that just answers that question.
Willplywoodfit.com.
Yeah, exactly. And I think this is making it easier than ever, because it's a no code way. Like you need to pump it a database,
yes,
right? But sure, keep that database as a Excel spreadsheet somewhere. Then every so often upload it to your custom GPT. It's got the info. You can make it more sophisticated by connecting with Zapier and get information in real time. But yeah, like why not? You can make hundreds of sites right now.
I'm excited too, because it's at City Innovations when we talk a lot about like bootstrapping and low code, no code, like early stages. I feel like things like this is a game changer for like early stage startups to do Wizard of Oz concierge service like style, and it can like be a game changer in doing that in bootstrapping. It's just another low code, no code tool. It's awesome. So
it is. All right, we're going to switch gears.
Let's do it.
We're running a little short on time, so we might have to speed through this one.
Okay.
Let me bring this one up. Did you hear about Humane AI?
I have not.
Or maybe they're not even called Humane
You
AI.
told me about it, and I made sure not to look at it, so I would have my first unveiling here.
Okay. So this launched, maybe it officially launched this week. Maybe it launched earlier. Orders begin November 16th. But this is a new take on a wearable. It's an AI. It does a lot of the same interactions as your smartphone would do, but you wear it. So I'm going to play this for you, and I want to play it without sound.
Without sound?
Yeah. So, yeah. Okay, we're good. So you just kind of watch what's happening. It's a 10-minute video, so we can just kind of talk through it. But this is, as I say, an AI pin. You can wear it on your clothes. It has a built-in camera. You can touch it to trigger it and talk to it. It's got a microphone. let's just clip it onto your lapel.
Okay.
What are you thinking so far? Just seeing
I'm literally asking myself like what the use cases are of this device, because I'm sitting here like, okay, it clips to it, it uses AI, it has a camera.
Yep. So you can, instead of like pulling out your phone to look things up, you could interact with it. So you see how he's pressing it right there?
Yeah,
It's
he's
like
pushing
your
it.
Starfleet communicator there.
Oh man.
So you can ask it a question like, what's the weather today?
Do you have to say computer like when you?
No, they talk about that. There's no special words. It's not always listening to you, but it's using AI to make it a little more conversational and a little smarter. So you, instead of saying, I think the example they give here is instead of saying, just play me a song, you can say, play me songs that Stevie Wonder wrote but didn't perform. There's something like that. Like you can. And it will also look at notes that you have about like your friends, your colleagues, and you can say like, find a place for me and Josh to go eat. And it will know that because I entered a note that said you like sushi, it will only recommend sushi places. So it's smart like that. But this, I think, is the really special, interesting feature about it. It projects, they call it laser ink, I think, a laser ink display onto your hand or onto any surface in front of you.
You have to put it in front of you. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and then tilting your hand creates different gestures, motions. And then when you touch your fingers together, it's like a click. What do you think about that?
I don't know, man. I'm torn. I'm a little torn actually, because I'm thinking to myself, this is yet another device. And so whenever someone comes to me with an idea, I always am a little skeptical at first, because you're having to create new behavior. Like this is completely new behavior. So it's something they're going to have to learn. I mean, the friction points in my mind when you're talking about something like this, it feels like the implementation would be easier done on a phone or like a smart voice assistant. Like I've always thought Alexa, it's only a matter of time before Alexa becomes truly like AI driven versus dumb. And it's just right now, it's just stupid. It's just listening for certain commands. So I'm a little skeptical. I don't know about you, but
That's funny.
It's cool, but it's just, I'm a skeptical in terms of thinking about human centered approach to this. Is like, this is just a new thing. This is just new. Yeah. I feel like this is almost just a stepping stone to augmented reality glasses. Like once they get it lower profile enough to fit in these bad boys, like that's where the ultimate future I feel like is. But yeah, so this is interesting. But why? What do you think?
Everyone I've shown this to is skeptical about it. Evan's skeptical too. We'll have to ask his. Do you have any reactions to that?
Yeah. What do you think, Evan?
I have trouble seeing people do that when their phone already does.
See, that's what I'm thinking. It's like,
Personally, that's my opinion
yeah,
on it. It's really cool, and I think it's going to lead to a lot of cool things.
yes.
But I don't think people are going to be jumping at the bit to pay $700 for something that their phone already
$700?
does.
There's no way I would pay $700 for that thing. Like,
Bryce was saying he thinks that's low.
what?
Or thinks the market is like low.
Really?
What were you saying about this?
I think it's in the uncanny valley of price points. I think they either need to go up to like $3,000 a unit because the early adopters are going to buy this no matter what.
Yeah.
Or drop it down to a more consumer friendly price. So everyone gets it. So it's like a Black Friday purchase for people. And
Yeah.
They're excited to have it. The $700 makes you feel like, well, I could get this, or I could get a new version of my phone.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
And I think it's going to be hard for people to say, this is the only thing that I'm going to have. With that said, I think you both sound like dinosaurs. You sound like, oh, why do I need like all these numbers in my phone? I've got a phone book. Like I've got the yellow pages. Why would I need to be able why do I need maps on my phone? I
So
can just print it off.
I will say,
guys
like,
say.
I am
is
skeptical.
Not comparable at all.
Yeah, I am
By the way.
I am skeptical, and I'm not a dinosaur. I am skeptical. It just what it looks like is a shiny object. That's a phrase I use all the time. Is like it looks like a shiny object, but I'd really have to try it. Like I would be open to trying it. Like if they, maybe we reach out to this company and be like, hey, sponsor this podcast and get us some of these so we can play around with
We'll
them.
have to re-record then.
Yeah.
Be like, this looks really, really cool.
This actually looks amazing. Can you make that cut and just like put it in? This looks amazing. It does. It looks interesting. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just skeptical, so, but is there other parts? What else does it do?
Yeah, I'll show you. But by the way, so I'm not that skeptical of it. I think
You're not.
no.
Why?
Because I
I
think
want you to justify yourself.
so. I think there's a lot of people who are searching for this type of interaction. Like I am sick and tired of having a phone in my pocket. I don't want it in my pocket anymore. I do like the idea of having more of a wearable.
Do you know how distracting that's going to be?
Why?
I'm going to be staring at your huge giant pin.
You can take it off.
The other thing is so there's a company out there that I actually have it. It takes photos every 10 seconds and puts them all together in like a montage throughout the entire day.
Oh, you got one of those?
I got one.
What was it called? Moment or something? Moment?
Yeah, it's like Moment or something. Yeah, it's I can't remember the name of the brand, but I have it. I think it's awesome. But like I'll tell you the people's reaction when I had it on, because this is what makes me think of. It's the same. It looks almost exactly the same. It has a camera on it. It's super overt. See the camera, like you can tell it's got a camera on it. Everyone would ask me whenever I would come to them, they'd be like, is that recording? Like they'd be paranoid. And they'd be like, is that recording? And so I'd have to explain what it is. And then when I'd go into large companies, because I would wear it, I actually got it when I was working with some larger clients, they would make me take it off because they think it was recording and they don't want it recording while I'm walking into the building. So it's like, I think there's going to be like, I don't know. I think it's just a different social dynamic when you add it in that profile. Yeah. So I just think that's what I mean. I think I'm skeptical. There's some friction points, but
one thing I'm skeptical about is the quality of the display, because this is a demo video and this is the best they could make it look, right? Like this isn't super high resolution. Like the text is not that clear.
Right.
It's not a lot of information on there. This is optimal lighting conditions for them. Like how they couldn't make this look better than. So I'm a little concerned about that.
Yeah.
Are you going to be trying to like move around to get good lighting wherever you are to try to use it? I don't know.
Yeah, like how does it perform in sunlight? That kind of
yeah,
stuff.
that's a good question. Yeah.
So they do show a couple of cool things, and nothing you'll see in this video except for that projected display is unique to this product. Your phone can do everything. But this interaction they're showing right here, the guy on the right speaks Spanish and the guy on the left speaks English. And the guy on the right comes up, he's speaking in Spanish. And then it gets translated.
Is it audible? Like, because we have the sound off, like it has a speaker in it. And
Yeah.
like, oh, okay. So
you compare it with Bluetooth headphones.
That's what I was wondering, Bluetooth headphones. Okay.
Yeah.
Would you set your preferred language and then anytime it detects
A different language.
it's going to auto translate it? Or
That would be pretty cool,
you have-
actually.
someone comes, you have to like, would you be like, 1 sec, let me
Yeah.
set this up real quick.
That's what he phrases it as. It will automatically detect the language and then translate it for you. But yeah, I think I would want a prompt to translate it. I don't want everyone who's speaking a different language to just start interpreting it for me. But yeah, I don't know. It's probably a little clunky. One of the cool things about it, and I'm sure this could be done with a bunch of other devices now, is it will reply in your voice in another language. So
your voice. Oh, because it like learns it probably. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So it will sound like you. And so it sounded like him speaking Spanish, which is pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
This is a demo of seeing something and then saying, how much does this cost online? And then he says, okay, buy it for me. So again, smartphone type stuff. Instead of pulling your phone out of your pocket, take a picture, look it up. You just do it like that. You can capture videos. And then there's one other, the food one. Evan was a little skeptical about this earlier. Let's see if I can.
Did you hear, by the way, while you're looking for the food thing, my wife, she loves to cook, and she found someone like that asked ChatGPT to create recipes like that were like recipes they liked.
Okay.
And she tried it. Like this whole channel just tried all the recipes it created, and they were horrible.
Oh,
like they
no.
were just awful. I just it's hilarious. I should see if I should find the link and post it. But
Yeah. So it's right here. So
yeah,
it can.
this looks cool. I don't think this was a good use to show how it works.
Yep.
You know, like I can see you doing it for a whole meal because it'll scan it and tell you like how many grams of protein.
but like
or,
12 almonds is
yeah,
not
it's like
yeah.
I scan my almonds every time I grab my almonds. Like, I'm not just gonna have that handful of almonds and then be done.
Yeah.
Like that seems like more of a meal use instead of a snack use.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Or
agree.
if you know,
If you had
I'm gonna grab 5 almonds every time.
so if you had
I scanned 5, so I got to grab 5 every time. So I know.
I think you're right. It would be sweet if you had a plate of like fish and a side, and you
Yeah.
just like, and it could detect all that. Yeah, I'm there with you.
Yeah. It's also one of those things where I don't really want to have an interaction with it at that time. I almost would want it passively capturing all the information, and then I could review it later on and be like, yeah, I did eat that meal. And yeah, that all looks
Yeah,
correct.
That's a good idea.
See that what you just said, I'm less skeptical of.
Hmm.
Like if they made this device to where it was more passive and it provided because this, I'm always skeptical of devices that have to create new habits, like, and you go outside of the context you normally go in.
But
But
you're
if
not doing this right now? You're not taking pictures of your almonds?
I'm definitely not taking. Well, first of all, I'm not eating almonds, so yeah. But yeah, I am skeptical. Anytime it like you have to break your normal patterns and you got to like do something new, I just feel like that's going to be uphill. But what I will say is, I'm curious if this company, this feels like a leap, like an interim technology to, like I was talking about glasses. This feels like if they perfected this, I'm curious if that same technology could be applicable to like glasses. So anyway, that's where my mind's going.
Yeah. I mean, the projection display, if that works, I think that's pretty cool.
Yes.
I like the idea of, at some point we got to get away from these LED screens, right? So I like that. This even on this use case, it says at the bottom, like protein are just their protein amounts are estimated. Like, yeah, we know you're not actually doing a content analysis of this, nutrition analysis. Yeah, so I think there's some interesting stuff. I agree with you. I think it's a step in the right direction. I think they've thought about a lot of the big issues with it. In this video, that when you listen to it later, you'll see there's like every line is hitting on some kind of skepticism.
Yes.
They're like, don't worry, we got this, we got this. Like my first thing when I saw this was I was wondering like battery life for this. Something that
Did they say it in there?
They didn't. I don't think they said how long the battery lasts, but they have a concept where the part behind the lapel is a battery booster, and so that's a magnet that locks it in, but also you just swap that out, and so you can have as many of those as you need, and then the case will charge the booster and the pin itself.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, the device that I was saying, like that's taking snapshots that I literally would have to like take it off and then put it on a like USB cord to charge it. So that's a pretty cool thing.
Yeah. And I imagine if they show it taking video clips, I imagine if you're doing more than like a minute of video, it's just draining the battery so fast. So
yeah.
Or it's a bad camera. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's interesting. I would be willing to purchase one. I think I might put in an order if it's going to deliver soon. If they say it's going to deliver in like 2025, I'm not jumping on the bandwagon. But
so they said it's taking orders. That's like this week, Thursday, basically. This next week. Is that they're just taking orders? They're not like fulfilling them? So it's like pre-orders right now or something?
I don't know. It just says orders begin 11/16. I didn't look in any more than that, but
did this start as a Kickstarter? Just out of curiosity, like something like that?
I don't know.
Huh.
I heard rumors of this company for a little while, but I didn't pay any attention to it, and now it's here. Also, their charging case is ugly.
It
It's
looks
the
like
field
in
Chicago.
Yeah,
Or
like
the
it does
bean,
look like
whatever
the
it's called.
bean. Yeah, alien orb right there. It is huh.
Josh, is there a feature that would make you excited and less skeptical to use something like this? Like, oh, if it did this, then I'd be really into it.
I think two things. One would be like if it operated more passively, like Bryce,
Yeah.
you were just saying this, like if it could scan my day and then like organize things automatically. Like what would be awesome is if I'm talking with Bryce and having a conversation, like we're in a meeting, how often, Bryce, that like after that meeting, you and I have to debrief and we're like, here's 10 action items.
Yep.
It's like if that thing could just be recording and like all the time, like processing using AI and then be like consolidating, like at the end of the day, I could have a consolidated, here's my to-do list. Make sure you do this. Make sure you do like, that would be huge. I would be sold. I'd be like, oh man, that feature would be a game changer for me. The other thing I'm skeptical of is just the profile, like the form of it, like the clip, the fact that it's like a clip. You know, if all of the features here were in the glasses, like I'd be like, I'm in. Like I'm totally in. So I think that's where I'm a little skeptical is like there's these social impact addressing things, and then you have to. Just a new path to do a lot of what you used to do. Like it's just something new you have to learn. So
Yeah, that's why I'm wondering. I don't really have an answer, but it's just like is like an app, like a feature that is like, oh, this is new.
Yeah.
I don't know why I feel because I personally it's just like I'm so ingrained in using my phone that it's like I don't need this. I was just wondering if you had like a feature that is new about it that's like, oh, I would get it just for that feature. You know what I mean? Like because it tells you the weather, it could change your song.
And that's why I was saying like my phone, what it could, at least I don't have an app right now that could currently listen the entire day and do what I was mentioning. Because if
I would hate that.
you would hate it.
I would not want a device on my chest recording every single thing that happens.
That's the thing is like that's why I said I have an issue too with the form. Yeah,
People
it's
wouldn't like it either.
They wouldn't. That's
If they
the other
see
thing.
something,
Yes, they're gonna be like, this is sketchy. Like
you don't record me. You know, like
exactly.
yeah.
Exactly.
I don't even know if I want myself recorded all day though as well. But I don't have meetings all day.
Well, and you know, I don't know if I would want to be recorded, but I think if it could just take that dialogue and not store it, but like use it to train the model and then like summarize my day. So I like that idea.
Yeah. Of kind of giving a day's summary.
Yeah.
I like that.
That's where I think that would kick me over the edge to be like, oh yeah, that's worth that.
Yeah. So to be clear, this one is not always listening. So they're advocating
That's right.
Evan's case. So when it is doing anything, the light is on. So you know if it's recording, if it's listening, doing anything.
Oh, that light on the side?
On. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's very obvious. So most of the time it's off. And that's also the only way I think it could last a day of use would be if it's like that. But I think, there's different people who are viewing that type of listening differently. But for you and me and for meetings, all that, I also think now with the shift where AI is more usable to digest information, I think people are going to be more okay with being recorded all the time. And I don't think like someone else recording me, I'm okay with, but recording myself to help me make better decisions.
That's right.
Like monitor me, do a sentiment analysis on my whole day. When was I stressed? When was I happy, sad? When was I most productive? What did I do today? What did I forget to do? Those types of things will get better if it's always listening and with AI. Now, I think for this to take off, a community other than early adopter techies needs to adopt it. So I think one of the issues with Google Glass was that it was just like all the tech nerds grabbed it and then it's like, oh, that's not cool. But if you had, I think fitness influencers, like imagine you get like tennis players who are using this because like you're not going to keep your phone in your pocket when you're playing tennis, but maybe something like this you do, or you're golfing and you have it on. And
would you do this? Would you keep this on?
I was just going to ask, why would I keep this on for playing a sport when I could have like a Whoop or like my Apple Watch that tells me all like my fitness journey or my fitness goals for when I play that sport?
Yeah. I think you could get something where I imagine wearing this like as someone like as a weightlifter, like you have this on and it's observing the bar, the weight that you're picking up, and it knows you did 20 reps for 200 pounds, right? And then that's all cataloged. and that it could even do like analyze acceleration and do some different computer vision things to tell you exactly like how well you performed. And again, as just like the taboo in a gym is you don't have your phone out, but maybe something like this you could do. But I don't know. I either way, I think there needs to be a niche that adopts it. There needs to be a subculture that says this is for me. Like maybe it's musicians, someone's going to be like, we all do this. But I don't know.
I'm curious if they did some user testing on this to where of not just the wearer, but like other people around them, because it reminds me of, I don't remember the name of the company that did a test. I think it was Marriott. One of the hotel brands, they did a test on a robot, basically like going to deliver a toothbrush to a hotel room, like because they requested it. And they did it all manually, which was ingenious. But their first iteration was like, the people hated it because it didn't have like personality. So they added like an iPad with a smiley face and they added all this stuff. And so that improved the perception. But I'm curious of like other people's perception to this of, you know, how does it make, if I walked in with this big pin on my chest and went into a meeting, like how would other people perceive that? Like you'd get questions for sure. But that's my only, especially based on the experience I had before, but.
I agree. I think this is maybe this headline's a good summary of what it is at this point. Humane AI Pin is official and lets you wear ChatGPT for $6.99. So how much do you value ChatGPT to put it on you? It's also $24 a month.
Is it using ChatGPT? Like actually ChatGPT?
Yeah, and they have a couple other integrations.
Okay, now there's more questions. So this has to have Wi-Fi.
Yes. So it has cell, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth. It comes with a data plan. So it's a T-Mobile data plan, $24 a month to keep using this.
Got it. Okay. That makes a lot more sense. Okay. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you just enticed me more by using the word ChatGPT because I use it all the day, every day. So, I mean,
you could just tap
now I could just tap it and it's like almost one step closer to in my brain.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's wrap up there. So that was it. That was two things that caught our attention this week. Maybe we'll do this again, come back, talk about some other things. But Josh, that was fun. Thanks.
It was fun.
Okay.
Awesome.
Outro music.
Oh, wow. This is really cool. I like it.